Excellent. Excellent. Point. There we go.
Hey. I can throw things back at you now.
Where are you? Okay, bring the camera. Okay. Come on, there's still people coming in, so just hold up. 2 minutes before 6:50.
There's no other talk.
I'm gonna go drag more people on the camera.
Ollie. Pardon? This? We had lots of people coming over to our booth and asking us for short demos from Backtrack to the Mac, so I'd like to give a huge hands to the Shmoo group who managed to organize all of this in absolutely no time, and they made this thing possible, so please. Really, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. It really is appreciated. Saying this, I had 12 minutes to prepare my demonstration, so if anything goes wrong, Chris is over there. Stand up, please, Chris, please. So if anything goes wrong, he's the guy to nail, okay? And if it's not his fault, then it's Windows, okay?
My email address is must.
All right, so we'll be looking at 2 demonstrations today. Both of them are just Ollie games, basically, debugger games. Yeah. Damn Microsoft. So the first demonstration is going to be, it's actually a nice demonstration. We're going to be bypassing a sort of low-level antivirus system with Ollie debug. We'll be encrypting or encoding a file. And then if we have time, and if you have patience, then we'll be going through the MS-07017 vulnerability, and we'll be exploiting it under Vista. And we'll be exploring the ASLR protections and its bypass, obviously. All right, so we'll begin with the antivirus avoidance spiel. And basically, if we talk about your classic antivirus, I'm not talking about all these fancy heuristics things, which I don't really believe in, but basically they're signature-based. So when you have malware, if you have your binary file, then the specific bytes in the specific area will actually trigger a signature. And these are files on disk. So that's basically what the antivirus does. It just goes through the files and looks for signatures. So basically, if we want to bypass an antivirus, what we need to do is we need to change the file signature without changing the file's functionality. So this is generally what we'll be doing. We'll be doing this in an interesting sort of way. I mean, the trick itself is pretty old, but the implementation using Ollie is fascinating in my opinion. And what we'll be doing is we'll be hijacking the execution flow of the executable, and we'll be injecting a small stub, a small encoder stub somewhere in the file. And what this encoder stub will be doing is it will just it will just change the binary contents of the file, and then once we execute that file again, it will decode the encoded contents of the file, but it will be doing this in memory out of the reach of the antivirus. And hopefully that should be enough to fool this poor antivirus we'll be demonstrating it on. We'll be using XOR. What's the proper way of saying that? XOR, which is a simple sort of routine which, if you implement the same XOR with the same key on the same data twice, then you'll actually be reverting back to the original contents. So that's sort of simple and nice to present, but you'd probably find that with more advanced antivirus software, an encryption, or it's not really an encryption scheme, it's a decoding scheme or an encoding scheme like this won't really hold. But we'll be doing sort of a basic demonstration just to show the impact. Alrighty, so let's see what we've got here. This is sort of a graphical explanation of what I'll be trying to do. I always find it easier to understand things in pictures. So if this is our malware, which we'll be starting with, and let's say this is the part in the file that the signature is at, and the antivirus gets ticked off by that, then basically what we want to do is we want to change the entry point of the file into some other place, have our stub there, and have it encode all that section, and then we'll freeze the file. And then when we run it once again, the same stub will decode that section of the PE file. Okay, so let's get dirty and see how this actually works. Well, not dirty in that sense, but you know what I mean. Alrighty, so I downloaded sort of one of the oldest backdoors in existence. Do you remember this? It's like the Netcat auto bind shell on port 99. If you double click on it, which you're not supposed to, you're supposed to run it from console, what it actually does is open a listening port on port 99, and it binds a command prompt to that. So if anyone telnets to this machine on port 99, they'll actually get a command prompt on my machine. Okay, so this is a really, really basic Trojan horse, if you like. It's just like my proof of concept, which I'll be demonstrating this stuff on. Alrighty. So let's just check that my poor antivirus actually identifies this file as malware, which it should. And if we inspect the antivirus, what was that thing? Here it is. So we can actually see that the antivirus has identified this file as Trojan backdoor NCX something or other. Okay, and that's probably because there's a signature somewhere in that file which is known to the antivirus vendors. So let's start looking at this file and see how we can change it, or change the binary structure of the file without changing its functionality. All right. So the first thing I'd usually want to do in a situation like this is open the file in a PE editor and prepare it for my stub. So we'll just use load PE, and we'll load this file, and we'll look at the various sections that it has. Now, the stub itself is pretty small. We could probably fit it in less than 100 bytes, but I usually like to overkill in these situations and give myself a lot of room for these manipulations. So what I'll be doing is I'll be adding 1,000 bytes to the iData section of this file, and I'll be doing all my stub thing in that area. Okay, so I'll quickly add 1,000 hex bytes to this file, and I'll make sure that it has executable permissions, because our stub is going to be in there and we'll have to execute code. So I'll do that quickly, and then when I was testing this yesterday, I realized that I also need to make the text section writable, because we're going to be encoding and decoding stuff in the text section. Okay, so we just need to make sure that this thing has writable permission. So now that we've done that, we've changed the PE file structure. In most probability, this file will actually not work, because the PE section says that it's bigger than what it is on physical